So next up is closing checklist. It's fairly self-explanatory, but you gotta make sure you do all of those things. Sometimes I went off the checklist and I forgot. I forgot to turn off AC once, or lock the door, or turn lights off. Sometimes you're in a hurry, you're rushing back to your family, and then you show up the following morning. You're like, it was on the whole night. So. Usually about 5 to 10 minutes before closing time, the first thing I start doing is playing cleanup song. Sometimes I change it up, but I think that works fairly well. That gives customer the idea that it's time to clean up or leave. Basically, most of the time, most customers get that, and they start either cleaning up or they just get up and they leave. Next thing is the customer exit checklist. I'll come back to that. Then there's a cleaning checklist. I'll come back to that. Then I turn off the electromagnetic lock, the lights, the TV, the AC, I reset all the toys. So there's the toy checklist, the merchandise checklist. I go over those. Once you memorize everything, you don't really need to go over the checklist, but I think it's still good for consistency because you can leave some of those items and then the following day you have to get very creative. So once you turn everything off after the last customer leaves, you count the cash in the register. I usually leave up to $100 in the cash register. Everything else I go and I immediately deposit. Right after parties, sometimes if the customer pays with cash, then you may want to go and deposit that right away. Make sure everything is plugged in to charge again. The phone, tablet, the terminal, just everything that needs to be plugged in and charging. Make sure it's charging overnight. Right now I have my business phone, set up through quasi landline. It goes through the internet, so it's kind of like a VoIP, voice over IP. Before I had just additional cell phone line that was on my personal account. Before I was able to switch it over, which dealing with Spectrum was a lot of headache, but eventually I got it down and I figured out what needed to be done. But while I was on my cell phone, the additional cell phone that I had, sometimes if that wasn't plugged in, then the phone in here is not working, and the internet was through that phone's hotspot, so the internet wasn't working. Sometimes employees forgot to plug it in and it would die overnight. So you want to make sure you go over the checklist, even though it's super simple. Just check off those boxes. I created a checklist especially for that, so you can literally check off boxes every night, or your employees. So everything you took outside, the little green plastic boy thing and the red waving man. There have been times when I forgot to take the green plastic thing inside, so I came back in the morning and there it is. Yeah. So then make sure you check both doors, the front door and the back door, that they're both locked. Usually the back door is never open in the first place, but again, one of those things, just in case. What if a customer or a child unlocked it by accident or on purpose and you didn't know? And then you have a squatter in the morning. Thankfully that never happened here, but it's possible. So that's about it. It's fairly simple, but you gotta follow those check boxes or you're gonna create more headache for you the following morning.